welcome to the stream. Happy Tuesday. Sorry. High stress. I'm just I was already running and then I started fucking hitting go live and I'm coming down from just a slightly stressful situation. So I have that stress adrenaline you get. It's starting to exit the body, but it's still there, just barely. Not necessarily stressful. More like certain people got me annoyed. But it's all good. I'm out of that situation now. And now I'm here in front of a couple of computer monitors to read Higurashi to the masses. To the masses and or to the people that want to listen, you know? We have our normal Tuesday slate here. I'm probably just going to read one section, however long that is, unless it ends up being just 30 minutes. I don't envision that being the case, but always got to say. We usually get one section done. That's actually startled me there. I joke about the opening movie thing sometimes, but that one actually got me. I'm jumpy all of a sudden. Let's see. What do we want to recap, huh? We began chapter 5 of Higurashi last Saturday. Read a bit. It is having Shion as the main protagonist. She started off breaking out of a school situation she was thrown into. Some of the family members saying basically of the mindset, hey, this is better than just, or at least there was a mention of where she's like, well, the other alternative when I was born was that since I was the second born, technically out of being beat by my twin sister just barely, I could have just been killed at birth. But instead I got this life where I'm just kind of the non-important sister. Mion is gonna handle the family stuff. I'm gonna be sent to this school that she was breaking out of. That's where we joined the story. She broke out. She got out. She enlists the help of her longtime butler friend guy, old man. Great for him. Stashes her away. And then she's like, all right, well, how do I live life now? Because the moment people recognize me, because this is such a small kind of community, basically, I'm going to be found out. It's only a matter of time. It's a ticking time bomb at this point. She was just trying to delay the inevitable. She's like, I also need to support myself, so I need to get a job. How am I going to get a job if I got, once it gets word out that I'm around and out, how can I do that safely? She enlists the help of her sister Mion. Her sister helps out. She's like, all right, what's your schedule? We'll work together so that basically when I want to work and pick up this part-time gig job thing, then you just need to disappear. You need to make yourself not seen. Mion's like, okay, sure. Reluctantly, almost. I think towards the end of the thing, came out that the call has already been made. It's already, the higher-ups in probably the Sonozaki family already probably know at this point that she is out. The school probably contacts whatever. So that was the one important thing. And then the second important thing is the meeting for both Shion and us as the reader to fully the character of Satoko's brother. Why the fuck is his name escaping me? It's Satoko and not Sakataro. Damn, I just can't remember the name. And we've read it for many chapters now. I just can't remember it. I'm sure we'll be. I'm sure his name will pop up sometime quickly here in this chapter, I would imagine. But the older brother to, and I also want to keep saying Shantoto. Oh boy, Satoko, the older brother Satoko that we kind of learned a bit about in previous chapters. So we as the readers and Shion meet this brother. He seems like a nice kid. Apparently not street smart. Apparently not maybe smart at all. Kind of sheltered in a way as far as learning how things happen, kind of thing. Like we saw a scene where he was clueless at a grocery store. All these different things. But Shion is immediately drawn to him. She's like, this guy, even though he's dumb as shit, he was willing to help me against the bike thugs at the start. She really gleaned onto that. We see some monologues, we read some monologues where she's like, why am I so infatuated with him? Why am I immediately drawn to this boy? It's crazy. And then she learns through Mion, she's like, oh, that's Satoko's brother. Like, yeah. So now she's like, okay, so Mion knows who this guy is. So now, unfortunately, every time I meet him and we hang out, he thinks I'm Mion. And because of my situation I'm in, I have to pretend I'm Mion. I can't come out fully and be like, hi, my name is Shion and I'm interested in you. She can't really easily do that, and I assume that's going to be the biggest crux to this whole thing. I think we've already set up our situation. The budding relationship between Shion and the brother versus her feelings she's starting to have, but then she has to conceal her life as Shion. She has to pretend she's Mion whenever she's out and about, holding a job, meeting with the brother, whatever the case is. That seems, I would assume, is going to be the, for lack of a better term, the inciting incident. Because something has to give, right? It's one of those situations where something has to give. She either has to drop her guard and drop the charade of pretending to be Mion when she needs to be out and about, or she needs to officially not be able to come clean to this person, this guy that she's having fast feelings for, right? And then there's the third part to this whole thing is we, as the reader, know what eventually happens with the brother, as far as him leaving, him not being there, right? So we know something happens, and either something happens and then he leaves, or something doesn't get to happen and then he leaves, which might be even more upsetting. If you catch my drift, like, are there going to be regrets if he ends up leaving before Shion gets to say, hi, I'm Shion, kind of thing? You know? Young love, man. Young love. Let's get into it. Just in my mic. Sorry if that made a sound there. Alright. And let's... Wait. I hit start, didn't I? I didn't hit continue. At least I caught it. I was like, wait, why is it, I was like, if I hit continue, why is it showing me this screen where it's telling me about the start of the thing? Alright. Let's read a section here. Strap in, get cozy, and let's read. Hey there! How are you guys doing in the heat?
Oh, Mion-san じゃないですか。
Trying to see where I want to put audio. Alright, that's fine. Oh, Mion-san. Oh, look, it's Irie in his coach's outfit. Look at him, number 1. Oh. I clipped that.
こんにちは。
We're doing good. Oh, yeah, wasn't the whole thing... Didn't... Oh, yeah, so she... totally forgot about this for a sec, but she caught on. She noticed somehow I think she saw, like, a roster page or something, and she caught his name on it, and she was like, oh. Like, as kids do, she's like, I'm super sly about this. I can sign up to work around the baseball team, and that indirectly allows me to, be in close proximity to him, right? Oh, Mian-san, we're doing good.
あれそれは差し入れですか
Is that a refreshment?
ありがたいな
Thanks a bunch.
さすがは我がチームのマネージャー
You're such a great manager.
まあ気が向いたからです
Wait, I only just now put this together. Wasn't in the previous chapter when we were first talking about the baseball team, wasn't the whole thing that being discussed about how Mion like never showed up? Oh, that I only just now got it. I mean, hey, at least give me some bit of credit that I put this together. But it makes way too much sense. Earlier on, when we were first being introduced to the whole baseball team concept, I think Mion showed up, and didn't Irie be like, hey, you can't be this flip-floppy on-again, off-again manager. Like, you gotta show up for the team. And she was like, I don't know. Well, it looks like it turns out that it wasn't Mion wanting to do it. It looks like Shion signed the two of them to do it up, basically, to be the baseball manager because she wanted to be the manager, and then Mion has to keep up appearance. I can't believe... I mean, I don't know. Am I dumb if I only just now noticed that? Like I said, give me a bit of credit that A, I figured that out, and B, I remember that kind of detail from back then, because you're not going to normally get that out of me here. My brain is not wrinkly and smooth and crystallized, calcified at this point, so many things aren't remembered in this old dome of mine. But I got that. Look at that. I'm so proud. I'm riding this high for the rest of the stream tonight. No other mistakes made tonight by me can get me down. Shion says, I just felt like coming here.
別に監督に差し入れたくて買ってきたわけじゃないので、そこんとこよろしくお願いします。
I didn't bring this for you, by the way.
あと、さりげなく人を勝手にマネージャーに組み込まないように。
And don't treat me as your manager without my permission, please. I said this earlier, but I love Shion's spunk, her attitude, right? It's also a bit refreshing. I think I also mentioned this a bit last stream. It's a bit refreshing that to get this as a contrast to what's his man, I'm not remembering anyone's name. It's Ketchy. It's a nice contrast to him. I don't know if this is permanent that we're always going to be with Shion, or if we're going to go back to Ketchy as a protag through the eyes of him or whatever. But it is very nice to just, you know, not saying Ketchy was annoying or anything, but like it's just like, it's just a very different personality, a more strong and I don't know how else to put it. A don't fuck with me type personality. She doesn't mind ruffling feathers.
ミオンがマネージャーだったらいろいろ心強いと思うけどね。
We'd be a stronger team if you are our manager, Mion.
やってよ、ミオン。
Why don't you apply?
マネージャー。
As manager, I mean. Oh, has she not officially applied to be the manager yet? Anyway, my point still stands. I bet she ends up applying for it without Mion fully on board, kind of thing. Satoshi, there's the name. Look at it. Satoshi-kun smiled at me in a carefree manner. I didn't want to become their manager. It'd be tiresome. I've been coming every week though, so I'm a quasi-manager already.
まあ本当に気が向いたらその時はやりますんで。
Well, if I ever feel like it.
でどうです？
Anyway, how's Satoshi-kun doing, coach?
サトシ君の打率はどんな感じです？
Is his batting average improving?
ええ、頑張ってますよ。
Yes, he's doing fine.
彼の打率ですか？そうですね。
His batting average is, well...
セブンスマートでおせんべいの袋をどれでも3つ買うとですね。
If you buy 3 packs of rice crackers at 7 Smart. あはははは。
それってつまり3割ってことですか？
Does that mean it's 30%?
へえ、3割打者。
Wow.
サトシ君って結構な高打率打者じゃないの。
You're doing great, Satoshi-kun.
打率は数字じゃないよミオン。
It's not just about the number, Mion.
ここ一番で打てなきゃ意味はないんだからさ。
I have to be able to hit the ball when it really counts.
サトシ君は自分で自分の弱点をよく分かっているようですね。
It's good that you're aware of your weaknesses, Satoshi-kun.
そこまで分かっているなら、あとは練習あるのみですよ。
You just continue working on them for now. Irie signaled to the pitcher, who then threw the ball. Satoshi-kun looked calm, following the ball with his eyes. Then he swung. Thwack. The ball flew between the first and second bases and landed in the distance.
おお、
Wow!
やったー。
That's great!
パチパチパチパチパチ。
She's so impressed by his baseball skills. Good job, Satoshi-kun! I clapped, and Satoshi-kun blushed in response. He repositioned his helmet to hide his face. Well...
フリーバッティングや試合が平坦な時はかなり落ち着いたいいバッティングを見せてくれるんですけどね。
He's good in practice when the game is slow. Irie smiled compassionately, seeing that Satoshi-kun really couldn't perform well when it counted. When the lights are the brightest, he folds, he crumples. It's a shame. It's a shame. While he was usually good when everybody expected him to perform, he couldn't. I didn't think it was because of nervousness, he just couldn't do it. I think it's a perfect fit for Satoshi-kun's character. He seems calm at first glance, but he's actually slow. Oh boy.
スコアボードとかそういう数字上ではかなりの高アベレージヒッターなのにね。
Numerically speaking, you're a great player,
本番に弱いってのは致命的かも。
but you need to be able to hit the ball even when things get serious.
そんなことだからこないだの浮田ジャガーとの試合でもここ一番で凡退するんですよ。
That's why you were an easy out in the match with the Yukita Jaguars the other day.
うるさいな。気にしてるんだから黙っててくれよ。
He's catching flack. Shut up. I know that.
あそこで打てればかなり美味しい見せ場だったんですけどね。
If he'd been able to hit the ball then, he would have been a hero.
残念です。
What a shame. A hit could have put the offense into the lead, or at least given them an extension. That was when Satoshi-kun came up to bat. Irie wanted him to live up to everybody's expectations, but statistically, that wasn't likely to happen. Yet Irie insisted on giving him a chance, in spite of the fact that all the team members had suggested a pinch hitter. Oh, he let the team down. Could you imagine? You go home to your shitty home life. You have an aunt and uncle that treat you like shit, or whatever. Abusive. This sounds like I'm trying to make a joke out of this, and I'm definitely not. Abusive home situation. You're protecting your little sister, and then you come to baseball, and you're getting talked down to by Shion and Irie as coach. They're like, man, he's pretty good, but like when it really counts, he just sucks. Shion's over here thinking he's slow. Like, man. Ugh. Brutal. Brutal. Shion says,
あそこで打てれば完璧なのにな。
it would have been perfect if you could have hit it.
どうしてダメなんですか？
Why didn't you?
どう いう時に打てないんですか？
Why can't you hit the ball in a situation when it really matters?
仕方ないよ。
There was nothing I could do.
僕がああいう時弱いの本当だし。
I know I'm weak in a situation like that.
僕だって代打を出してくれた方が試合に勝てるかなって思ったし。
I thought a pinch hitter was a better idea too.
試合に勝つかじゃなくて、サトシ君が勝つかどうかが問題なんです。
It's not about the match, it's about you, Satoshi-kun.
ああ、もう。
Ah,
なんで当の本人にここまで闘争心がないのかな？
you need to be more aggressive.
普通は逆でしょ？
Shouldn't you have thought the opposite way?
代打に変えられそうなところを、ここは俺に打たせてくださいって食ってかかるとこでしょ？
Shouldn't you have insisted that you'd come up to bat no matter what everybody else said?
自分から代打を出してほしいなんて言い出すなんて、ああ、もう。
I can't believe you wanted to give away the chance to some pinch hitter.
なんでここまで闘争心がないのかな？
Why are you so weak like that?
それは私も普段から言ってるんですけどね。
That's what I'm always telling him.
まあその辺がサトシ君のいいところではあるんですがね。
I know that's one of his good points too, but
普段は紳士でも試合には鬼になる。
you can't be a gentleman at other times, but when playing games, you should be a demon. Or you can be a gentleman at other times. But when playing games, you should be a demon.
男にはそういう二面性があっても私はいいと思います。
I think all men should have those two sides to them.
とにかくサトシ君には鬼がない。
You need to let your demon out, Satoshi-kun.
仮にもひなみ沢の人間なんだから、たまにはご先祖の鬼の血を思い出してくださいよね。
This pep talk she's giving him is gonna like ring in his ears when he ever decides to take out his aunt, isn't it? He's gonna have like the echoes of like Shion being like, you need to release your inner demon. And he's gonna be like, yeah. The aunt's gonna say one thing to him, pisses him off. And he's gonna be like, I'm gonna release my demon and just take her out. Indirectly, Shion kills the aunt. Or gives him the courage to do it at least. You're native to Inamazawa, so never forget that you have the demon's blood running through your veins.
って聞いてます？
Are you listening?
サトシ君？
Satoshi-kun?
聞いてるよ。
I am.
よくわかんないけど、その
I'm not sure, but
わかんないけどってサトシ君の話をしてるんですよ。
what aren't you sure about? We're talking about you.
それを
So, whoa! Satoshi-kun suddenly started stroking my head. He looked delighted for some reason. A blush immediately spread across my face. I didn't know how to respond.
ミオンは僕のためを思って言ってくれてるんだよね。
You're giving me advice, right?
ありがとう。
Thanks.
僕は頑張る。
I'll do my best.
サトシ君、
Hey,
そういうことしてごまかさないでください。
don't you try to fool me.
ごまかしてなんかないよ。
I'm not.
嬉しいだけだよ。
I'm just happy that you care about me. I need to start getting petted on the head by friends. We should start to normalize that. At least in my friend group. I'm gonna start proposing that idea. Just a couple little like platonic friendly head pats. Pop pop. Pop pop. I couldn't resist his hand. I couldn't help mumbling like he does. Satoshi-kun ran back to the field, leaving me red as a beet.
頭撫でられるの弱いんですか？
Do you feel good when you have your head stroked?
撫でる人によります。
Depends.
監督が撫でてきたら関節決めますんで、覚悟の方よろしくです。
If it were you, I'd have to teach you a new martial arts technique.
もうずる
Yeah,
い
you
な。
tell off that creep. What a shame.
じゃあ全員集合。
Alright, everyone, gather around.
今日は出席もいいことですから人数を分けて紅白戦をやってみましょう。
Why don't you split into groups and have a practice match? The Inamazawa fighters are sort of a lazy team. The members gather simply to enjoy playing baseball, not to fight for victory. The Okinomiya Titans use this field too, but they practice on a different day of the week. They always train hard using dumbbells and stuff. Our team split into 2 groups and started a match, retaining their loose atmosphere.
じゃあ私は記録でもやるかな。
I'll keep track of the score.
監督、どっかに鉛筆ないですか？
Coach, do you have a pencil?
いつもすみませんね。
Thanks for helping out.
はい、これ
Here.
お願いしますね。
I took the pencil and the clipboard. I didn't know how to differentiate between recording hits and errors at first, but by now I was used to it.
頑張ってサトシくん。
Show me what you got, Satoshi-kun!
あんまり応援するとまた打てなくなっちゃいますね。
Oh, maybe it'll be too much pressure if I cheer for you too excessively.
ほどほどに頑張れ。
Just do okay then.
それはそれでひどいな。
Doesn't sound very encouraging either.
頑張れ。
Ha 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 ha. Do your best! Time passed slowly that Sunday. Huge white clouds appeared in the sky. It made me feel healthy. Humans are born to be active under the sun. One of the parents was acting as umpire today, so Irie sat on the bench with me. He shouted words of encouragement to the kids while they ran to their positions. Any other baseball coach would constantly berate them, but he was much more generous, like a kindergarten teacher. He let the kids have fun while watching over them. To other baseball players, it might look a little naive.
それでもあの程度の練習量でみんなこれだけの動きができるんだから驚きですよね。
I'm surprised you guys can do well with only a small amount of practice.
ひなみ沢の子はみんな普段から元気に遊び回ってますからね。
Kids in Hinamazawa romp around every day,
運動量は町のことは比べ物にならないんですよ。
so the amount of exercise they get surpasses that of the city kids.
変なフォームで固めてしまうより遊び感覚の方が伸びるんです。
Besides, too much training is not always effective.
おお、見事に沖宮タイタンズとは正反対の考え方ですね。
He's a doctor, so he's got that sport science, in the back of his mind kicking in. Wow, you think completely different from the Okinomiya Titans.
あちらの監督と対立するのわかる気がします。
I can understand why their coach hates you.
タイタンズさんの考えも間違ってませんよ。
It's not about being right.
試合は勝つためにするものですからね。
Matches exist for someone to win, after all.
勝利至上主義は決して間違いじゃないです。
So, prioritizing victory certainly isn't wrong.
みんなで団結して共通の目標を目指すのはとても素敵なことだと思いますからね。
I think it's admirable to aim for victory together.
まあうちはその目標がたまたま勝利じゃないってだけのことです。
But the goal of our team doesn't happen to be victory. That's all. The Inamazawa Fighters and the Okinomiya Titans had been rivals for a long time. Both teams shared the same baseball field, for one thing. And, originally, there was only one team, but the people living in Inamazawa left and made their own. Anyhow, we were rivals. The Okinomiya Titans were strictly about winning, and the Inamazawa Fighters were just about having fun. Surprisingly, our scores weren't that different. Which meant our team had something they didn't. The power of friendship. Even though I couldn't put it into words, I knew what made that happen.
ほら、赤組さんも頑張ってください。
Hey, Team 1, no slacking!
2点差なんかひっくり返せちゃいますよ。
You can make up the 2-point difference pretty easily!
白組も油断なくしっかり。
Team 2, no slacking either! Still, some parents would criticize our coach for being too lenient. But still others would strongly agree with him. Which side would I take? The latter. I couldn't really say for sure. Oh, the latter? Question mark. I couldn't really say for sure. The reason for this was that Irie had an obnoxious habit of sexual harassment. Oh. Well, it's not like we didn't already sort of know. But also, this being painted by Shion. Oh god. In particular, he had a fascination with maids, but I should talk about that some other time. Yeah, Satoshi-kun let the ball pass twice to see its trajectory, then hit it on the third pitch and ran to first base.
お、サトシ君打った打った。
Oh, he did it!
落ち着いてればさすがですよね。
He's so good when he's relaxed.
最初はちょっと素振りしただけですぐバテてたんですけどね。
In the beginning, he used to get tired very easily.
それを思えば本当に上達したものです。
He's improved quite a lot since then.
サトシ君って文系って感じの人ですよね。
He really does look kind of like a bookworm.
よくその彼が野球をやろうなんて思ったものですね。
I wonder why he started playing baseball in the first place. All the other kids who joined the baseball team loved baseball. They'd go out to play in the fields outside practice. That's why they all had an aptitude for it. But Sis never said that Satoshi couldn't exercise as intensively in school or anywhere else. He only likes to read. That's why I didn't understand why he started playing for this team to begin with.
それはですね、私がサトシ君をこのチームに誘ったからなんです。
That's because I invited him.
へえ、
Is that so?
監督が自らスカウトしたんですか？
You recruited him?
サトシ君に何かすごい素質があるのを見抜いて。
Did you notice some sort of hidden talent?
あ、すみません。麦茶を一杯もらってもいいですか？
Excuse me, can I have a cup of barley tea?
あ、どうも。
Ah, thank you. Erie asked for tea in a suspicious manner. While he constantly joked around, I knew he was actually a very mature person. I assumed he was trying to evade my question.
何か訳ありなんですか？
Is there a particular reason? Erie pretended he didn't hear me, but I pressed him on it. In response, he shrugged and began answering the question.
園崎さんなら、あるいは想像がつくんじゃないかと。
I think you might be able to guess. What would be Mion Sonosaki's guess? I quickly searched through the data I had on slurred through that. I quickly searched through the data I had on Satoshi-kun. I came up with Satoshi-kun's family circumstances. He lost his parents in an accident a year ago. Since then, he's been having a tough time at his uncle's home.
じゃあ監督はサトシ君の鬱憤とかそういうのを解消させてあげようと思ってこのチームに。
So, you invited him so that he could vent?
スポーツはいいですよ。
Sports are great.
程よく体を動かして汗をかくことはストレスの発散になります。
You can free yourself through exercise.
また熱中することによってわずかな間でも家庭のことを忘れられるならそれは十分な気分転換になりますしね。
I thought that as long as he concentrated on something else, he could forget about his troubles at home.
ほらサトシ君ってぼんやりしてるというかのほほんとしてるというかそういうところあるじゃないですか。
You know he's usually sort of a daydreamer, zoning out all the time.
やっぱり相当ストレスあるんですか？
Is he still stressed? I knew Satoshi-kun must be suffering even though he didn't look like it. But Mion Sonozaki never pays attention to things like that, and I had to act like she does.
おじさんに引き取られて少ししてからサトシ君がだいぶ体調を崩しましてね。
Satoshi-kun got really sick after his uncle took him into his custody.
いろんな症状を訴えるんですが、いくら調べても原因がはっきりしないんですよ。
He had many clinical symptoms, but the causes were unknown. Satoshi-kun often got sick after he was taken into his uncle's custody. He suffered from fatigue and migraines. He suffered from a lack of energy and sleeplessness. It's rough. The coach, Dr. Irie, soon realized Satoshi-kun was suffering from a psychological disorder. Most of the people in Yanamazawa knew how bad Satoshi-kun's environment was. It was natural for him to become sick because he entered that bad environment right after his parents' deaths.
サトシ君は感情の爆発ができないタイプなんですよ。
Satoshi-kun cannot express himself freely.
泣いたりとか怒ったりとかそういう感情が人一倍苦手なんです。
Whether it's crying or simply being agitated, he's not good at handling those emotions.
確かにサトシ君が泣いたりとか怒ったりってのはあまり想像つかないですね。
That's true. I can't imagine him being angry or crying.
サトシ君のお母さんが再婚を重ねてるのはご存知で？
Did you know Satoshi-kun's mother had been married a few times already?
まあ
Yeah,
少しは。
I know a little about that. Satoshi-kun's mother had married a number of men over the years. That meant Satoshi-kun had several stepfathers. He had to deal with strangers coming into his home multiple times, so he was forced to be mature.
サトシ君は精神的に早熟なんです。
Satoshi-kun is mentally underdeveloped.
本人は自覚していないでしょうがね。
He isn't aware of it himself, though.
泣いたり笑ったり、ダダをこねたり、
He didn't have enough time to cry, laugh, and throw tantrums in his childhood.
そういう時代をあっという間に卒業させられて大人になっちゃったんです。
He was forced to become a grown-up in just a short time.
監督の言い方だと大人ってのが必ずしもいいようには聞こえないですね。
That doesn't sound right.
子供は子供らしく過ごすことで成長していくようにできているんです。
Children have to behave like children in order to grow up.
それを無理に大人にしたらやっぱりいいことはないですよ。
There's nothing positive about being forced to become an adult. Not only was Satoko's current relationship with her aunt conspicuously terrible, I heard that her relationships with her previous stepfathers weren't good either. Wait, is that? Not only Satoko's current relationship with her aunt. Oh, I heard that already. Okay, yeah. Satoko always caused problems, and Satoshi-kun would always step in to protect her.
だからサトシ君の体に変調が出たのはそういうことに体が耐えかねた SOS じゃないかって思ったんです。
I thought his physical symptoms came from the stress. His body was trying to warn him. That's why Irie invited Satoshi-kun onto the baseball team. He told Satoshi that he needed a new member, or something like that.
初めは渋ってましたけどね。
He hesitated at first.
彼と診療の際にいろいろとお話しするうちに少しずつ打ち解けていきましてね。
But after I talked to him at the clinic a few times, he began to open up to me.
ちょっと見学だけにでも来てみるといい。
First, I invited him to come see the practice.
ちょっとバットを持ってみるといい。
Then I suggested he try batting.
なんて感じで少しずつ誘っていったんですよ。
I eased him into it. Sports worked excellently for Satoshi-kun. His health quickly improved, and he started to become interested in baseball. He practiced batting. He was soon able to swing beautifully, and he learned how to see the trajectory of the ball.
なんかわかるな。
Ah, I can imagine that.
サトシ君ってコツコツタイプですからね。
He likes to read.
How to Baseball なんて本をしおり挟みながら読んでる風景が想像できます。
So he must have read a book titled How to Play Baseball or something like that.
それであれよあれよという間に3割打者なんです。
He's become a good batter very quickly.
本当によく頑張りました。
He's put forth a lot of effort.
これでピンチの時にも打てれば完璧なんですけどね。
Though I wish he could actually hit when it comes down to the wire, too.
サトシ君と監督って仲いいんですか？
Are you guys close?
悪くはないと思ってますよ。
I think so.
悩みとかそういうのを打ち明けてくれたということは私を信頼してくれたからだと思ってます。
He talks to me about his problems, so I guess that's a sign of trust. I'm not saying I didn't probably know this, but this is also this section here, especially with now we're seeing Irie's connection and history with Satoshi. And then think about back in like previous chapters where, and by previous chapters, I mean literally chapter, not 4 though, but 3, in chapter 3, because 4 was a different one. Chapter 3, where it was the whole chapter with Kechi wanting to be the older brother figure for Satoko, and then that was where we're introduced to Irie and all that. And now we're starting to see like a deepening reason for Irie's wanting protection of Satoko, because clearly he knows of the family situation. He clearly reached out to Satoshi to try to help him, and then if Satoshi leaves, then Irie probably feels, this word I'm about to say has usually a negative connotation, but I don't mean it to be a negative connotation, but feels obligated to protect Satoko. And I wouldn't be surprised if sometime we see in this chapter, if we see where leading up to the time where Satoshi leaves, if there is even some kind of exchange between the two of them here, Satoshi and Irie, where Satoshi's like, I'm something along the lines of like, I'm leaving, I'm gonna have to leave by this thing I'm doing, because of this thing I'm doing, please protect Satoko type thing. So we see exactly why Irie, just like Kechi, feels the need to protect Satoko. So we're seeing more of an explanation behind that and why Irie was so protective of Satoko back in chapter 3 that we are seeing. And we're probably gonna, like I said, I would be willing to bet that we see, maybe we don't see in this chapter, but like at least it would make sense to me if there was some kind of exchange where it's like, especially with Irie reaching out to Satoshi to try to help him through the love of the game, through the love of baseball and sports. Does that all make sense? I know I'm rambling here a bit, but anyway. Irie says, I think so. He talks to me about his problems, so I guess that's a sign of trust. I felt a bit jealous of how confidently Irie said that. While Satoshi-kun and I were friends, we weren't so close that we'd open up to each other like that.
あれ
Oh?
嫉妬してます
Are you jealous? Huh?
何に
About what? Taken aback, I blushed. Irie started laughing at me.
園崎さんもサトシ君の相談相手になってあげてください。
Please stay as his good friend.
まあ慣れるなら慣れたらいいかななんて
Well, yeah. I'm trying. I didn't know what I was saying.
サトシ君ですね。
It's so good. It's easy trope to fall back on, but it's so good still to see the very clearly almost 99% of the time confident type character that Shion is, outwardly being a very confident young little girl, and like, you know, we were seeing here how she stands her ground against Irie. She can hold her own against an adult figure, and she's like a very confident person. And then like just the idea of like Satoshi just kind of makes her, you know, weak. You know what I'm saying? She crumbles. The idea of Satoshi and their friendship / budding potential relationship that unfortunately probably is not gonna happen. Irie says, you know, regarding Satoshi-kun.
最近また少し体調を崩してるみたいなんです。
He seems a little sick again lately.
Eh?
What? It's weird to get that sound cue on top of this, on top of the music here. That's weird. Shion says, what? Thwack! The ball flew to the left, but the left fielder managed to catch it. It seemed that the relationship between Satoko and her aunt had gotten worse lately. It was obvious his sickness had something to do with that.
おばさんがかなり大人げないいじめ方をしているらしいんです。
Their aunt is bullying Satoko-chan in a terrible way.
サトコちゃん、本当にかわいそうなくらいにボロボロになって。
She's become worn out after all that.
何しろ聞いた話では。
And
で
so?
それをかばうサトシ君もボロボロになっているということですね。
Satoshi-kun is also worn out from covering for Satoko, isn't he? I wasn't interested in Satoko, so I switched the subject back to Satoshi-kun. Forget Satoko, I don't give a shit about her. Not my interest. Not my field of interest, says Shion. I didn't know much about Satoko. I knew that she was a big part of Satoshi-kun's life, but I'd never been interested in her until today. She must have been building up self-esteem and taking care of her unreliable brother. That was all I knew about her. But, considering Satoshi-kun's personality, even that goofiness of his might have been an act. Maybe he was trying to make her feel good about herself by letting her take care of him. If only unconsciously. When he's alone, he's surprisingly strong. I realized that only recently. So, couldn't help but think that his whole life is constantly affected by Satoko. Satoshi-kun managed to get along with his stepfathers even though he experienced some stress. He was even getting along with his aunt. But in order to protect Satoko, He always had to step in and suffer. I didn't really know anything about Satoko, but I had to admit, I felt hostile toward her. I felt jealous because she was monopolizing him. Oof.
最近サトコちゃんへのおばさんのいじめがだいぶエスカレートしてるみたいです。
It seems that their aunt has been terrorizing Satoko-chan even more lately.
サトシ君の体調不良もそれに比例しているんでしょうね。
That must be what's causing Satoshi-kun's sickness. Irie heaved a sigh. As he said, Satoshi-kun had been absent a few times lately. He seemed a bit tired too. He looked normal when around everybody else, but he looked a bit depressed when he was alone.
監督はストレスに押しつぶされそうなサトシ君を救うため野球に誘ったんですよね。
So you invited him to join the team to relieve his stress, didn't you?
ええ、
Yes,
そのつもりでした。
that's right.
こうして野球をやっている今、
But he looks stressed again now.
またストレスに押しつぶされそうになっているサトシ君に今度は何を誘えばいいんですか？
How can we save him this time?
どうすればいいんでしょうね。
I don't know. Irie smiled powerlessly. I couldn't help feeling a bit disappointed about that, because Satoshi-kun put his trust in him.
内緒にしてくださいよ。
Just between you and me?
実はですね、サトシ君
Satoshi-kun recently told me
チームを抜けたいってそう漏らすんですよ、最近。
that he wanted to leave the team.
どうして？
How come?
疲れるからだそうです。
He claimed he was tired of it.
というのは表向き。
That's what he said.
サトコちゃんと一緒にいる時間を増やしてあげるためじゃないかと思ってます。
But I believe he actually wants to spend more time with Satoko-chan.
サトシ君は野球をしている間、サトコちゃんがおばさんにいじめられているかもしれない。
He thinks that Satoko-chan might end up being tortured while he's at practice.
その時、サトコちゃんのそばにいられないことが兄として辛いと、そう思っているのかもしれません。
I think he's concerned about that. I just had a bad thought. What if, oh god, we're getting a small seed planted of like Shion in her monologue there, like expressing that she's not only jealous of the time that Satoko gets to spend with Satoshi instead of her, but also resenting Satoko. She's like, ugh, if it wasn't for Satoko, then Satoshi would be having a better time. He's so stressed because he has to protect her, and and then Irie here is kind of like, yeah, he's kind of wants to leave the team because he thinks when he's gone that she's in trouble, kind of thing. Is there gonna be like a situation where Shion confronts Satoko in an aggressive manner, and then Satoko either lashes back out or then holds on to that guilt? And is that then the guilt that we see manifest earlier in again back in chapter 3, where the whole thing is she's hoping Satoshi comes back? Is Satoko upset because she's like, damn, I really maybe whatever, again, I'm just imagining the story here, but if she gets confronted by Shion at some point, and then she's like, oh, it's my fault he's gone, it's my fault that he left. And then the whole thing where she was like, ooh, if I just, take the abuse and not cause problems with it, then Satoshi will come back. That was her wrong and flawed thinking. So is that why she was doing all that? Potentially part of the reason why. If she got drilled in, if Shion incorrectly gets to her and says, hey, it's your fault Satoshi's is thinking about leaving, it's your fault he's having a bad life, and that kind of you're young, imagine you're Satoko and you have you got a young brain, and you have someone, you have Shion there berating you, being like, it's all your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault, your fault. Mix that in with all the abuse you're receiving from your guardian figures. It would be easy to see then how then Satoko could arrive to the fucked up incorrect thinking of, hey, if I just hold on to all this pain and not lash out anymore and not say it's a problem anymore, maybe Satoshi will come back, especially if someone tells her Satoshi is thinking of leaving and has to do this thing because of you and the problems. It then makes sense for her to be like, hey, you know, very upsetting all around. Upsetting all around. Anyway, Irie says he thinks that Satoko-chan might end up being tortured while he's at practice. I think he's concerned about that. I was left speechless for a while. Satoko again. Satoko. Why did Satoshi-kun have to sacrifice so much for her? See, this is what I'm saying. Just by ignoring her, his stress would melt away. Of course, I knew he couldn't do that. If that were the case, then the blame lay with his little sister. I knew how badly she'd been treated, but that only happened because she made things worse for herself. It was her fault that she couldn't establish a decent relationship with their aunt. Ooh. This is rough. This is on the verge and or already teetered into victim blaming. Shion, come on now. Come on now. Oh, buddy. I mean, okay. It's tough here, right? Because we went over the facts before. We previously have been told again back in like chapter 3 and stuff. We were told the messy situation Satoko got herself in by acting out. But the things against that is she's little, she's very young. It still wasn't the greatest family situation prior to her probably acting out. You know, those like false reports things, the her general pranky nature, probably taking steps too far. Oh, this is all just rough. And it feels as if Shion is getting this, like, she's getting this jealous, dark energy coming. A lot of this can, like, not a lot of this. I don't want to say a lot of people's problems in the story, but we're seeing multiple angles of, like, a lot of people's problems could be alleviated just slightly with a little bit of compassion. I sound so dumb saying this, but a little bit of understanding and a little bit of not like, I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, but just a little bit of like looking at things at a slightly different angle. Like Shion, I mean, maybe it's just really easy for me to say. Maybe I'm just very good at maybe I'm the outlier, but I don't know. I don't think that's the case. I think Shion, she's overly infatuated with this thing, and now she's being reinforced with this idea that, yes, Satoshi would be having such a better life if it wasn't for Satoko. At least, that's what she's hearing, right? It's a thing of what's actually happening, and then what's the bits of information her brain is picking out, and then how her brain is mashing all that information together, and then what is it turning into? And unfortunately, probably not Irie's intention or anything, obviously, but she is gathering from this. I love hanging out with Satoshi. What is preventing Satoshi from spending more time out and about? Satoshi is having psychological problems, and he's taking it upon himself too much to try to protect his little sister from their situation. And she's like, she wants to manifest that as, damn, Satoko. This Satoko I don't know. This person I don't know. Fuck them, kind of thing, for lack of a better term. It's all just very unfortunate. But at least we're seeing it very easily, like us as the reader get to see, like, now that we're in the shoes of Shion, at least to me, it's very nice to see that, like, the game is not afraid to very quickly in this chapter and everything let us know Shion is flawed for a lot of reasons, at least personality wise, because the reason I think that is because the game in the previous, like I said, keep referencing chapter 3, In chapter 3, we saw the fucked up situation Satoko had to deal with it and how sad that made us feel, and it was rough to read and all that. So the game already prepped us for the, hey, we're already sympathetic to Satoko in the situation. Like, we're already, most of us, right, are all on board after reading that and being like, ugh, this sucks, this was hard to read, and it's sad, right? And then here comes like a strong right hook. Chapter 5 comes in, and we have Shion being like, who does this fucking Satoko person think she is, you know? It's verging on me territory for Shion. But like I was saying, it's nice to see that the game knows that how, letting us know, like, hey, here's this potential like character flaw thing for Shion, who you're reading again through the eyes of for this chapter. Maybe I'm jumping to a lot of conclusions. Maybe I'm just delaying reading the next sentence for whatever reason, you know? I just think it's interesting to think about. And I gotta voice it out loud, you know? Or else why the hell am I doing this? Any of this, you know? It was her fault that she couldn't establish a decent relationship with their aunt. If Satoko were more mature, like Satoshi-kun, her home life wouldn't have gotten so bad. Satoshi-kun wouldn't have to suffer those indirect blows. In the meantime, the baseball team's practice match had become one-sided. It wasn't even worth watching anymore. The members of the losing team were just goofing off. The sky had turned cloudy too. It was depressing. It didn't look like it'd rain soon, though. The gray sky hadn't brought along any cool air. It just felt disgusting. Irie became quiet. He was looking down around his feet. I, meanwhile, just stared at Satoshi-kun. To me, he didn't look active anymore. He was once able to enjoy playing baseball and he felt fine, but he got sick again, just because the relationship between Satoko and her aunt had deteriorated. I couldn't help but say it.
サトシ君をどうこうするってより、サトコをどうこうする方が先決では。
Shouldn't we do something about Satoko instead? Damn. Like that, even saying that, the fact that that was voiced out loud is pretty damning against Shion. In my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. This is one of those things where I'm like, am I in the wrong thinking like this? Am I putting too much... Again, I'm not like a Shion hater or anything. I'm also not a Satoko hater. But yeah, like I said, I think Shion generally probably has good intentions about things, but is her thinking right now is, I think, very clouded by her infatuation with Satoshi as a person. It was just a murmur, but Irie had definitely caught it.
それはどういう意味ですか、園崎さん。
What do you mean, Sanasaki-san?
別に難しい話じゃないです。
It's not that complicated.
サトコがしっかりしてくれれば、サトシ君に迷惑をかけることもない。
If Satoko were stronger, Satoshi-kun wouldn't have to deal with stress.
サトコがそもそもの原因であるってことが言いたいだけです。
I think Satoko is the cause of everything.
そんなことは。
I really need Irie to be like a strong, firm hand pushing back against this. I'm counting on you, Irie. I don't ask much out of you. I don't. He says, I don't know about that.
でしょ?
Yes, you do.
だってサトコがトラブルからサトシ君はそのトラブルに介入して矢面に立たなければならないんでしょ?
If she didn't cause any trouble, he wouldn't have to step in, would he?
でその結果、本当は買わなくて済んだおばの喧嘩まで買ってるわけでしょ?
He wouldn't have to take over in the fight between Satoko and her aunt, right? Satoshi-kun never got scared of any trouble. No matter how formidable the enemy, he'd bravely stand up to protect the weak. I knew that because I could vividly imagine it. Whenever their aunt chides Satoko, Satoshi-kun steps in to protect her. The aunt probably didn't like it. Though Satoshi-kun didn't have to fight, the aunt would attack him anyway. The fight would then be between the aunt and him. Satoko might then tease the aunt by sticking out her tongue, hiding behind his back, and pretending to be scared. She'd never think about how deeply he was being hurt. because of Satoko. Sachi-kun had become cornered and stressed.
園崎さん、あなたがそんな言い方をする人だったとは驚きです。
I'm surprised to hear this from you, Sonozaki-san.
あなたは聡子ちゃんのお友達でしょ？
I thought you were Satoko-chan's friend, her classmate.
お姉さん的な立場でしょ？
A big sister kind of figure. Ooh, yeah, that's kind of awkward. I'm so ready for any comments to tell me that I'm in the wrong. My whole thing is I'm either reading the situation wrong or I'm just wrong and or a bad person. I'm very ready. Let me know. Comment below. Do I suck as a person? Don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe. Those words I never say. Actually, don't hit like, comment, and subscribe. Sorry, I had like a scratchy, an itchy part on my back right there. Okay.
普段も学校で
Sorry.
聡子ちゃんを慰めたり励ましたりしてるものだと思ってました。
I thought you'd always be on her side.
なのにそんな言い方をするなんて
But what you've said is
正直驚いています。
surprising to me. Irie looked at me suspiciously. I could tell what he was thinking about me. I'd said too much. Mion Sonozaki and Satoko Hojo are friends. They're close. So Mion should have been encouraging her after the situation at home got tougher. That's what Mion was supposed to do. I'd totally forgotten about that and spoken as myself. It's only natural that Irie would give me a suspicious look. He might end up changing his impression of Mion Sonozaki entirely. I'd have to apologize to her about this and ask her to put things right. Damn, she's gonna fucking ruin Mion's social life here. Is that why she ends up being pissed? I mean, I think I touched upon it last stream too. I was talking about like, oh, are we starting to see the reasons? Because at the start of this, Mion seemed, I mean, she was a little disgruntled, but she seemed totally chill with doing this for her sister. Are we gonna see like a year within this thing where she fucking gets where we start to see exactly why she hates Shion and why she's so hostile towards Shion, like what we then read in like previous chapters? Probably. I totally messed up. Even so, I didn't think I'd say anything wrong. I'd objectively looked at the situation and made a modest proposal. To be honest, I was simply afraid that he might leave the team. I couldn't go to school in Hinamazawa, so the baseball field was the only place where I could see him. I could even say that he was my reason for living. Oof. That's right. I was in love with him, but I wasn't going to tell him how I felt. For I was satisfied with just being by his side. I certainly couldn't ask for anything more. After all, I couldn't reveal my true identity. I had to pretend to be Mion in order to live in Okinomiya. I thought that maybe I should leave Okinomiya in order to be free. But that's stupid. No matter how tough my life might be, I prefer to be here, with Satoshi-kun stroking my head every now and then. Why did I love him that much? I read about it in some manga once. You don't need a reason to be in love. I was surprised at myself for being like this.
落ち着け
Calm down,
私
Shion. I breathed out slowly, then held my breath, trying to slow my throbbing heart. I felt a bit calmer. At that point, a clear thought came into my mind, or my head. I want to be with Satoshi-kun. So, I wanted to stay on the team. So, I wanted to get rid of his concerns and his stress. So what? So, what can I do to achieve all that? My head started to cool down as I heard the umpire shout.
Game set!
Game set!
試合終了!
Sorry, I heard like hooting and hollering outside my window. Sorry about that. I was thrown off. I thought it was in game at first for a sec. Game set and match! Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. I have bad feelings about what's gonna happen. Oh, here we go. Some days I see him, some days I don't. Clear sky gets cloudy, and rain will always stop eventually. Thought his absence was just like that, but he was actually on the verge of breakdown. Oh, no. Oh, no, Xion! No! Alright, the rainy season was just around the corner, and the air had become so humid that my shirt stuck to my skin. It had been a few weeks since Sachikun stopped showing up for baseball practice. I looked for him as soon as I arrived at the field. He's not here yet. Did I get here too early? I want to see him playing in the field right when I get here. I had started arriving late because of those feelings. However, he wasn't here today either. I didn't even bother hiding my disappointment anymore. I already knew by now how I felt. The team members from Mion's class came over to try and console me, but I shooed them away.
Sonozaki-san.
What's going on, Sonozaki-san?
気分が優れませんか?
Are you feeling sick? Even Irie couldn't comfort me. I was aware that he too knew why I was like this.
今日帰りますね。
I'm going home.
気分じゃないです。
I don't feel like watching the practice today.
ほら、今日は沖宮タイタンズさんと打ち合わせをする日じゃないですか。
Look, we're having a meeting with the Okinomiya Titans later.
マネージャーの園崎さんにも同席してほしかったんですがね。
I wanted you to be there because you're our manager.
私を勝手にマネージャーにしないでください。
Don't treat me like a manager.
私、マネージャーだったつもりは
I
ない
never
んですから。
I never agreed to be one. Irie looked down, not knowing what to say.
わかりました。
Alright,
元気が回復したらまた手伝ってくださいね。
please help us again when you feel like it.
もう来ないかもです。
Maybe I won't be coming back.
マネージャーが必要なら、私以外を募集してください。
If you really need a manager, look for somebody else.
気が向いた時でいいです。
Please do come again,
また遊びに来てくださいね。
whenever you feel like it.
それにほら、あなたがいないとサトシ君が戻ってきた時寂しがりますよ。
Satoshi-kun will be sad if you're not here when he comes back. The text paused after it said, please do come again, and then it said, whenever you feel like it. I really thought for a second there, Irie was going to say, please do come again, Shion, like he knew that it wasn't Mion anymore. I was ready for that. I ignored him and turned around. I'd already set up my schedule with Mion, so I didn't have to ask her every time anymore. I tried to contact her a couple times to ask how Satoshi-kun was doing in school, but I hadn't been able to get through to her. Apparently, the hag had sensed that I might be in contact with Sis. In other words, Sis was being watched. As a result, it hasn't been easy to contact her. Kasai, who had been helping me contact her, seemed to also have been marked. People knew he's loyal to me. I hadn't seen him for a while either. All I could do was wonder how Satoshi-kun was doing. I was frustrated because there was no way for me to know. My head was filled with worries. But something surprised me out of the blue. Somebody called out to me when I was about to leave the field on my bike.
みーちゃん、こんにちは。
Oh, it's Rina. Mi-chan, hello. I feel like, God, it feels like forever since we've caught back up with Rina. I mean, like, we obviously saw her in, like, a bit of Chapter 3, but she wasn't, like, a main focus. There was only, like, small bits, you know, and then I think in Chapter 3 was it when she got mad at us, I say us, when she got mad at Ketchy, when, like, even Mion was having trouble, like, getting through to us. When, yeah, our last big moment with Rina was when, I feel like, unless I'm forgetting something, obviously, was when she yelled at us because Ketchy was like, you guys are Satoko's friends and you're not even helping her. Why do I feel like I'm the only one helping her in this situation? And then Rina had to, like, yell at him in, like, the classroom or whatever. But then since then, it feels like Rina's, like, we've seen nothing. It's good to see she's back. Rina says, Mi-chan, hello. I never seen this girl before. Uh-oh. Luckily, she called me Mi-chan. There's only one person who refers to Mion that way, as far as I know.
レナか。
It would be very funny if she said some name other than Rina right here. She goes, oh, Rika. She goes, you're Chie. You love curry, right? Curry and Colonel Sanders, right?
珍しいね。レナがここに来るなんて。
I'm surprised to see you here. Her name was Rina Ryugu. Her real name is Reina. Rina? Rina. I know, people fucking get on my case. Get on my case now. I'm pausing. So you can shout out loud as you're watching. Say your comments now about how I mispronounce names. Alright. But she wants to be called Rina. So that's what we call her. She moved here in April. I had some information on her, but it was all ambiguous. Sis was still a bit uncertain about her since she's so new. It was hard for me to handle something like that. I didn't know how to act around her as Mion. So I decided to pretend to be in an obvious sulky mood. That way, she wouldn't talk to me as much, assuming that Mion was simply feeling bad. Well, that's how I really am anyway.
みーちゃんは帰り？
Are you going home, Mi-chan?
うん。
Yeah.
気分が優れないの。
What? Why is that? Is this a mistake?
気分が優れないの。うん。気分が優れないの。
Why is this voiced by not Rina? This is definitely should be Rina. This is attributed correctly. Rina's line, "Are you not feeling well?" She should be saying that to Shion, but then
気分が優れないの。
that's strange. I feel like that's the second time I've seen this happen in this game. Are you not feeling well?
悪いね。
Sorry.
じゃあ一緒に帰ろう。
Let's go together then. I wanted to say that I'd rather be alone, but there's only one road to Hinamizawa, so asking to be alone would look odd. The only way to not seem suspicious would be to walk home with her.
そうだね。
Yeah,
帰ろうか。
let's go. Rina quietly nodded. I unlocked my bike.
みーちゃん、傘は？
Mi-chan, do you have an umbrella?
持ってないけど。
No.
今日はこの後天気崩れるかもしれないんだって。
It might rain soon,
傘ないなら急ごう。
so let's hurry a bit if you don't have one. As she predicted, we were attacked by pouring rain on our way. We ended up taking shelter in a small shack in front of a bus stop.
すごい降りだけど、これはそんなに長引きそうじゃないね。向こうの空は明るいもの。
It's pouring, but it doesn't look like it's going to last long, since the sky over there is clear.
そうだね。
Yeah. I heard the sound of rain pattering on the rooftop and the raindrops jumping into puddles. It sounded loud, but it made me feel strangely calm. I zoned out for a moment, then Rina talked to me while looking up at the rainy sky.
最近元気ないって聞いたから
I was worried about you,
心配してたんだよ。
because you looked so down. All the baseball team members knew I was depressed because I hadn't seen Satoshi-kun recently. Most of them attend the school in Inamizawa, so it wasn't surprising that she knew as well. I hadn't been able to contact Sis these past few weeks, but I was sure she had an idea of how I felt about Satoshi-kun, and how I'd feel if he didn't come to his baseball practice. Sis was probably pretending to act a little depressed during her day-to-day in Hinamizawa to avoid creating a big gap between our moods, but neither of us knew the details about the other right now. So she wouldn't be able to answer if others asked her what was wrong. She'd only be able to say, "Leave me alone." That might lead more people to become worried. Rina must have thought Mion was depressed. That must be why she came all the way to see me. She must have known what was going on because she knew that I was at the baseball field.
サトシ君、構ってくれないから寂しい？
Do you feel lonely because Satoshi-kun is avoiding us? Haven't deduced what's been going on with Satoshi-kun from what she just said. He'd been distancing himself from others lately because of exhaustion. That's what it sounded like, at least.
サトコちゃんの件でだいぶ悩んでるみたいだった。
He looked like he was very worried about Satoko-chan. Oh, don't bring up Satoko around Shion here.
サトシ君は
Shion has to bite her
すごく
tongue.
追い詰められてると思う。
I think he's really on edge.
かわいそうだよね。
I feel bad for him.
サトシ君は本当に妹思いだからね。
He really cares about his sister.
偉いよ、本当に。
He has a lot of courage. What I'd said sounded hollow, as I knew too well how much of a burden Satoko had become.
でもだからってみーちゃんまで落ち込んじゃったらかえってサトシ君を追い詰めちゃうように思うかな。
But I think he'd feel even worse if you also looked that depressed, I think.
私に追い詰めるつもりなんて
I don't
な
want
いよ。
I don't want that.
それはもちろん知ってるよ。
I know.
でもだからこそ
But if you really don't,
学校にいる時のサトシ君を笑顔で迎えてあげられなかったら本当にサトシ君は追い詰められちゃうよ。
then you need to smile for him. Otherwise, he might really feel concerned.
みーちゃんはたとえ嘘でも笑顔が作れる強い人間だって知ってる。
I know you're strong.
だから嘘でも笑ってほしいの。
You can smile, even if it's just pretend.
最初はたとえ嘘でもね。
So, I want you to smile no matter what.
笑顔って最後には本物になるんだよ。
You know that lies can become true sometimes? Just smile until your sadness goes away. What she was saying in a nutshell was this. Both Satoshi-kun and Satoko were totally wiped out. If Mion was also depressed, even though she's the sort of person who usually lightens a mood, the situation would be stuck in a vicious cycle. Rina sounded more like she was trying to give me advice than trying to console me. She must be more mature than she looks. Sis told me that she was a funny girl with a few bad habits, but she seemed to have another very mature side to her.
みーちゃんはサトシ君のこと好き？
Do you love Satoshi-kun?
好き。
Yeah. Though I shouldn't have told her that. I immediately responded.
なら笑おう。
In that case, why don't you smile? Rina smiled herself.
みーちゃんの笑顔できっとサトシ君に元気を分けてあげられると思う。
I believe Satoshi-kun will feel better if he sees you smile.
みーちゃんはそれしかできないことに落胆しかけているかもしれないけれど、
I know you feel powerless now, but
それでもね、多分それが一番サトシ君の力になる。
your smile will give him strength.
理屈ではわかるけどね。
I know what you're saying, but
笑えったってそう簡単にはできないよ。
it's not that easy. Rina giggled and
野
nodded.
球の練習にもさ、バイトが終わったらきっと帰ってくるから。
He'll come back after he's done with his part-time job. His part-time job? I almost asked that question, but I managed to stop myself. From the tone of Rina's voice, it sounded like it was something everyone knew.
バイトか。
His part-time job, huh?
いつ終わるんだろうね。
I wonder when it'll end.
お金が貯まるまでだろうけど、
Until he has enough money, I guess.
どんなに遅くてもさとこちゃんの誕生日までには終わるよ。
But he'll finish by Satoko-chan's birthday, at the latest. I tried to figure out what was going on from what she said. I had to listen very carefully to uncover the whole picture. Satoshi-kun seemed to be working in order to make some money. I don't think it's easy to find a job when you're still in school. Sis might have had something to do with it. His job only seemed temporary. It seemed to have something to do with Satoko's birthday. It wasn't that difficult to figure out. Satoshi was working, saving up to buy his little sister something expensive for her birthday. He was trying to comfort her, even though he was so torn up himself. Satoko again. Satoshi-kun was already worn out because of her. He was now working for her sake, even though he was exhausted. How stupid. It'd be easier for him to just forget about Satoko. Whoa! Jesus! Don't scare me like that, Rina. Also, man, if those thoughts she had about Satoko got back to Satoshi somehow, I'm sure he would be pissed. He'd be pissed. He'd be double pissed. He'd be like, A, that's a terrible thing to think about my sister, who I genuinely care about, clearly. And two, there was another reason I had. Whatever. I immediately forgot it as I said two. Damn it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm like this. Alright, Jesus. Alright, big head, Rina. I was startled when I realized Rina was looking straight into my eyes. She was smiling, but her eyes looked creepy. I never voiced what I was thinking, but she was looking at me as though she figured out that I was blaming Satoko. She beamed when she noticed my fear. She smiled as though she understood that I thought that way because of love. She was giving me the creeps. I could hear thunder roar in the distance. The rain began to pick up.
さとこちゃんがサトシ君を独占してることに嫉妬を感じてる？
Do you feel jealous of Satoko-chan because she monopolizes Satoshi-kun? Absolutely nailed. I avoided answering immediately this time, but Rina seemed to know what I was thinking already.
別にみーちゃんがそう思っても私は軽蔑しないよ。
I wouldn't be upset even if you did.
人を一途に好きになるときってそういうものだもん。
That's just how it is when you're in love.
ありがとう。
Thanks.
でもみーちゃんは今までずっとさとこちゃんを励ましてくれてたよね。
You've been encouraging Satoko-chan despite that.
それって私すごく立派なことだと思うな。
That's admirable.
サトコは仲間だもの。
Of course I have.
当然でしょ。
She's my friend. I sounded so fake. I felt like spitting on the floor.
私たちにはさとこちゃんもさとしくんも励ますことしかできない。
All we can do is encourage Satoko-chan and Satoshi-kun.
どうやったらこの苦境から救ってあげられるのかわからない。
I don't know how to save them from their situation.
サトコがサトシ君にべったりしすぎなんだよ。
Satoko is relying on Satoshi-kun way too much.
サトコがもっとしっかりすればサトシ君がここまで追い詰められることはない。
If she were stronger, he wouldn't have to suffer in her place.
はっきり言うね。
You sound really straightforward. Rina nodded with an unflinching smile, even though my remarks could be taken as harsh. What was this mysterious girl thinking? It was difficult to get a read on her.
サトシくんもさ、ほんの少しはそう思っているとこあるかもしれないね。
Maybe Satoshi-kun feels that way a little too.
Eh?
Huh? Rina kept smiling, but her smile looked strangely cold.
サトシくんも多分心のどこかでサトコちゃんをかばい続けることに疲れを感じてると思う。
I think he's tired of protecting Satoko-chan, and he's aware of that. Given the type of person Rina is, I don't think she'd say something if she wasn't certain of it. Because of that, she must have been confident in what she just told me.
どうしてそう思う？
Why do you think that?
私サトシくんに打ち明けられたから。
He said so. What? Satoshi-kun secretly confessed to her. Rina asked me to keep it that way.
サトシくんがね言ったの。
Satoshi-kun told me
兄として頼られることに苦痛を感じる。
that he felt tired of protecting Satoko-chan. Oh my god, Chaos Agent Rina coming in. Lending a voice to Shion's bad thoughts already. God, like I said earlier, Shion is hearing everything she needs to hear from others in the worst of ways, if that makes sense. She talked to Irie, and Irie's like, yeah, like, Satoshi's like having a tough time. You know, he can't show up when he's tired and sapping all his energy. And she's like, oh, so Satoko's to fucking blame. And then she's having this discussion with Rina, and Rina's like, yeah, he even said it himself. And she's like, oh, that fucking Satoko. This is bad. This is a bad situation all around. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right, Satoshi-kun told me that he felt tired of protecting Satoko-chan.
それはとても罪深いことだと知っているけど。
He was feeling guilty, though. I don't think he would say something like that. But, however, it wasn't likely that Rina was lying. I just met her, so I don't know what made me feel that way. But my hunch told me that she was telling the truth. I heaved a huge sigh. Satoshi-kun must have gotten so tired that he couldn't help telling someone. Even so, even if he thought that way, he wouldn't tell somebody so easily. Maybe Rina led him to do so. She might be capable of something like that. I don't understand this girl. It only had been a little while since we'd met, but I'd already started talking about something I was keeping deep inside of me. Does she have some kind of supernatural power to reach into people's minds and drag out what they're thinking? It suddenly hit me that I was sitting with this creepy girl in a tiny shack. I've been dragged into her strange world. I don't think Sis had realized Rina's real personality. She thinks Rina's just a funny girl with some strange habits. She would have told me if she knew.
レナはサトシ君に打ち明けられるくらいに信頼されてるんだね。
I guess Satoshi-kun must trust you a lot if he confessed that to you.
羨ましい。
I'm a little jealous.
別に信頼されてるわけじゃない。
It's not because he trusts me.
私が経験者だからだと思う。
I think it's because I've experienced the same thing.
経験？
You what?
レナにも兄弟をかばったりした経験が。
Did you have to cover for your siblings once?
ひたひたと
Those footsteps
ずっと足音がついてきて、
always followed me.
夜は枕元にまで立たれて見下ろされる経験。
They even came to my bedside and looked down at me. Huh? Sorry, Rina. What are you talking about? All right, and we've had this. We've previously have been given this information about how she would talk about previously how I think she would even attribute it to Oyashiro-sama. She felt like a presence above her as she was lying in bed, kind of thing. Almost like a night terror-like type situation. I turned around to face her and got the chills. Though she was smiling, her eyes looked ice cold. I trembled and froze with my eyes open.
みーちゃんにはない？
Have you experienced anything like that?
ないと思う。
Huh. I guess not.
多分。
Probably. Ha 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 ha. Rina kept laughing self-derisively. I tried to figure out what she was saying.
みーちゃんはひなみ沢から逃げ出そうとか、
Have you ever thought of leaving Hinamizawa
もっと都会に行きたいなとか、
and moving to a big city?
そういうことを考えたことはある？
Have you ever thought of doing something like that? I didn't know how to respond. Rina waited for my answer, urging me to speak with her silence.
ないよ。
No.
私は地元好きだし。
I love it here.
だよね。だよね。
Yeah, that's right, isn't it?
みーちゃんはそうだと思う。
I knew that. It didn't seem like a good idea to lie to her. Rina had some kind of power I can't grasp. She can read people's minds just by seeing the slightest change in their expressions. So I had to tell her the truth.
そうならば、みーちゃんは大丈夫。
You'll be okay, if that's true.
お社様には怒られない。
Oyashiro-sama won't get mad at you.
お社様？
Oyashiro-sama? Oyashiro-sama. That's Hinamizawa's guardian deity. I couldn't understand why she mentioned that name. My mind stopped for a moment.
うん、
That's right,
お社様。
Oyashiro-sama. She calmly repeated the name as if trying to teach me something. Yeah, I remember. Oyashiro-sama never allows heathens to desecrate Hinamizawa. Oyashiro-sama never allows the villagers to leave either. Those are the rules. Slowly, I recalled the fear of the curse which supposedly caused the dismemberment murder and the death of the Hojo couple. When I was sent to the institution, I had this fear. I was scared that if I went to that faraway boarding school, I'd fall under the curse. But I should be okay. I escaped from the school and returned to my hometown, to Okinomiya to be precise. But it should be okay according to the kids' rules, because I love Hinamizawa. The hag forces me to live this suffocating life, but I still chose to stay in this place. I don't believe I'm breaking Oyashiro-sama's rules. Even though the Sonozaki family had selfishly banished me to a remote place, I came back here anyway. Oyashiro-sama should even bless me for that. I guess I'm trying to convince myself that the curse doesn't apply to me. But I think I'm still afraid of it.
私は地元好きだから。
I love this place.
その意味ではお社様のたたりがあるとは思っちゃいないね。
So I don't think I qualify for Oishiro-sama's curse.
模範的だとすら思ってるけど。
You could even call me a model villager.
うん、
Yes,
それは私も認める。
I think so too.
だからこそサトシ君のことはわかんない。
But I'm not sure about Satoshi-kun.
どうして？
Why?
サトシ君は心のどこかで
Satoshi-kun wants to leave Hinamizawa and run far away.
ひなみ沢を捨ててどこかへ逃げ出したいと思ってるから。
Even if only unconsciously. Eh? Eh? I gave an inaudible cry. While I was feeling sad that Satoshi-kun hadn't shown up for practice, he still lived in Hinamizawa. So I never even considered the thought of him going away.
サトシ君が家出したがってるってこと？
Are you saying that he wants to skip town?
うん、
Yes.
無意識のうちに。
He's not aware of it himself, though.
お社様が枕元に立つまでは多分意識すらしてなかったと思う。
He probably didn't notice until Ushiro-sama stood by his bed. I still had no idea what she was talking about. I continued trying to figure out what she was saying.
サトシ君が体験していることはすべてお社様のたたりの前触れなの。
Everything he's going through is a sign of Oishiro-sama's curse.
誰かが遠くからじっと伺っている。誰かがずっとつけてくる。誰かがいつも自分のすぐ後ろから見ている。
In a lower quality voice recording, Rina says, "You feel like someone is watching you from a distance, and it follows you. Then it watches from right behind you."
やがて足音は常に自分とずれて一つ余計に聞こえるようになるの。
After that, you start hearing an extra footstep.
それらは初めのうちはお外でだけだけど、
It only happens outside at first.
やがて後ろのそれは自分の家の中にまでついてくるようになる。
But you start hearing it even inside your house after a while.
そしてお布団に入って明かりを消してもずっと枕元から見下ろしてるの。
Then, Oishiro-sama keeps watching you even when you're sleeping in the dark.
ただただ黙ってじっと
Right by your side, waiting silently
自らの罪を認めるまで。
for you to admit your sin.
サトシ君は夢見が悪いって最初言い出したの。
Satoshi-kun told me he was having nightmares at first.
それで私がどんな夢
So I asked him what kind of dreams he was having.
と聞いたら
And those dreams he was having,
私の時をなぞるようだった。
as it turned out,
だから私彼に予告したの。
were just like mine.
その気配がやがて近づき足音を聞かせるようになり、常にサトシ君を見下ろしているようになったなら、
I warned him that the presence would become bigger. He'd hear an extra step, and feel the presence watching him in his sleep.
それはきっと私の時と同じだから相談してって。
I told him to come to me if that ever happened.
サトシ君は初め私のことを怪訝に思ったと思う。
He must have been suspicious at first.
でも私が予告した通りにお社様の気配が近づくのを感じ、
But, just as I predicted,
お社様が枕元にまで立つに至って、
he started to feel Oishiro-sama's presence more strongly.
やっと自分の身に起こってることを相談できるのは私しかいないって
He
気づ
finally
いたの。
he finally realized he could talk to me about it. Rina didn't look like she was joking. She just calmly told me what had been going on. I couldn't even move. I couldn't tell if her words were a joke or the truth. I could only feel stunned.
私はね、もともとひなみ沢に住んでいたの。
I'm from Hinamizawa originally,
小学校に上がる直前で茨城に引っ越した。
but I moved to Ibaraki Prefecture right before I went to elementary school.
でも新しい環境に馴染めなくてね、
However, when I couldn't adjust to my new environment,
心の中のお社様にひなみ沢に帰れ帰れって何度も呼びかけられてた。
Oishiro-sama frequently started telling me to return to Hinamizawa in my head.
でも 小学生の子が泣きながら元の町に帰りたいって言ったってどうにもならないもんね。
But I couldn't do anything, since I was just a little kid.
私は現実とお社様の声に板挟みにされてずっと過ごすことになる。
I was forced to live there, though I felt threatened by Oishiro-sama's voice.
そして
Then, Rina paused. It looked like she didn't want to go into the details of what followed. In general, she confused me even more.
結局いろいろあって私はひなみ沢に帰ってくることができた。
Anyway, I was able to come back here in the end.
だからお社様にはそれで許してもらえた。
Oishiro-sama forgave me.
あれ以来お社様の気配を感じることはないもの。
I haven't felt his presence anymore since then.
でもね、サトシ君は私と違ってひなみ沢にいながらお社様のたたりを受けることになった。
Satoshi-kun is being subject to the curse even though he's in Hinamazawa.
それはなぜか。
Why?
理由は一つ。
There can only be one reason.
サトシ君はひなみ沢にはいたけれども、ひなみ沢を捨てて遠くに逃げたがっていたから。
It's because he wishes to abandon Hinamazawa.
その心をお社様は許さなかったんだね。
Oishiro-sama won't allow that.
サトシ君は自問自答を何度も繰り返した挙句に認めたよ。
After a series of inner monologues, he confessed.
ほら、サトシ君アルバイトをしてるでしょ。
You know he's working part-time, don't you?
サトコちゃんが欲しがったあの大きなぬいぐるみは10万円くらいするもんね。
The teddy bear he's getting for Satoko-chan costs about 100,000 yen.
サトシ君はサトコちゃんの誕生日までにその額を稼ごうとしている。
And he's trying to get the money by her birthday.
でもほら、考えてみて。
Have you noticed it yet?
それだけのお金があったら後先を考えなくていいならどこか遠くへ逃げ出す十分な費用になりうるんだよ。
Think about it like this. If he had that amount of money, that'd be enough for him to run away somewhere far from here.
サトシ君は無意識のうちにね、
He,
そのお金でサトコちゃんに誕生日プレゼントを買うんじゃなく、
he unconsciously started to think about that.
サトコちゃんを捨ててどこか遠くへ逃げ出すお金に使ってしまいたいって思うようになってたの。
About leaving Satoko-chan behind.
それはサトシ君にとってはこの上なく罪深いこと。
But he'd feel very guilty.
でもさっきみーちゃんが指摘したようにサトコちゃんの存在自体がサトシ君の負担になってるのは事実。
As you pointed out, Satoko-chan is a burden on him.
サトシ君だってバカじゃないもん。
He's not stupid, so he's aware of that.
兄として認めたくなかっただけでサトコちゃんが負担になっていることにはちゃんと気づいていた。
He just doesn't want to admit it because he's the one who's supposed to protect his little sister.
だからサトシ君は葛藤してるんだよ。
He's been struggling with himself.
自分は妹を喜ばせるためのお金を貯めるためにバイトをしているつもり。
He thinks he's working to please Satoko-chan on her birthday.
だけれどもそれは自分の心を騙しているだけで、本当は自分が逃げ出すためのお金を作るためにバイトしてるんじゃないかって。
But he also feels that he might be deceiving himself because he unconsciously wants to skip town with that money.
私は逃げ出すべきじゃないと思う。
I don't think he should run away.
逃げ出したってサトシ君は多分一生後悔する。
Even if he did, he'd regret it for the rest of his life.
お社様だってそれを分かってるからサトシ君にこうして警告してくれているの。
Oishiro-sama knows that. That's why Oishiro-sama's trying to warn him.
サトシ君の心にサトコちゃんを見捨てるなんて悪魔のささやきが早く聞こえなくなるといいんだけども。
I hope Satoshi-kun stops thinking of abandoning Satoko-chan.
サトシ君は綿流しの数日後だっけ
He's working hard to make it to Satoko-chan's birthday, which is...
のサトコちゃんの誕生日にプレゼントを間に合わせるため今いろいろなアルバイトに精を出してる。
a couple of days after the Waznagashi festival?
心も体も追い詰めてる。
He's pushing himself too hard.
そんな苦境がきっとさとこちゃんの誕生日を境に終わるんだって信じて。
He believes it'll end when Satoko-chan's birthday comes.
サトシ君は今もお社様のたたりに苛まれている。
Curse keeps cautioning him.
さとこちゃんを守るか見捨てるかの天秤の狭間に立たされながらね。
While he tries to figure out whether he should leave or continue protecting her. The torrential rain didn't seem to want to stop. It's just like, thanks for all that, Rina. I'm thoroughly creeped out. It kept pouring down on the galvanized iron roof, producing a loud noise. Yet, in the shack, it fell completely silent. What the hell was Rina talking about? I couldn't grasp even half of what she was saying. The only thing I'd figured out is that Satoshi-kun was struggling, confused, and in lots of pain. He's suffering from Oishiro-sama's curse? And Rina has experienced that before? The Watanagashi festival was right around the corner. Oishiro-sama's curse had struck 3 years in a row. There was no guarantee that it wouldn't strike a 4th time. Satoshi-kun was subject to Oishiro-sama's curse even now? Was he going to skip town? Was he going to be the next victim of Oishiro-sama's curse? Either way, he might disappear forever. Could I do something to prevent it? If I didn't do anything, it would all come to a hopeless end. End? I started feeling a sense of dread. I didn't buy the crazy story Rina told me. But if something really was happening to Satoshi-kun, which might bring about some kind of an end, I couldn't help feeling scared. It's true, isn't it? My instinct is always correct. I decided to contact Mion despite the danger. Mion got upset at first, but she had to listen to me.
お姉、
Sis,
サトシ君のことだけど、
what's going on
どういうことになってるの？
with Satoshi-kun?
最近だいぶ険しい様子なんだよ。
He looks really stressed out.
部活に声もかけられない雰囲気。
I can't even talk to him.
何それ？
What do you mean?
声をかけられないから、サトシ君がどういう状況になってるかよく分かってないってこと？
You don't know what's going on because you can't talk to him?
ごめん。
Sorry.
お姉、
Sis,
キンキンにまた入れ替わる機会を設けてほしいの。
give me another chance to trade spots again.
それはもちろん構わないよ。
That's fine.
でも最近はちょっと綿流しのお祭りの打ち合わせの絡みで日程の調整が難しいんだよ。
But I'm kind of busy lately attending meetings for the festival.
何？
What are you planning to do?
またバイト？
Another part-time job?
私、ひなみ沢の学校へ行く。
Oh, I'm going to your school. Is it gonna end? Oh, man. She is desperate for some more time with, Satoshi. Alright, let's get these. Why don't I relate my encounter with that creepy girl in the why don't I relate my encounter with that creepy girl in the rain? Her name is Rina Ryugu. Her real first name is Rina. I have no idea what kind of girl she really Rina. I have no idea what kind of girl she really is. One thing is certain. She has no relation to the Sonozaki family. She has no relation to the 3 families as a whole either. The Ryugu family used to live in Hinamizawa, but then they moved to Ibaraki. That was before she went to elementary school. They returned to Hinamizawa some years later. Rina Ryugu said she came back because Oishiro-sama told her to. I don't know what that means. She said it was the curse of Oishiro-sama. That Oishiro-sama had stalked her. I think that was probably a hallucination, but Satoshi-kun had been interested in that experience. She said that Satoshi-kun was also experiencing Oishiro-sama's curse. Satoshi-kun told her that he was being followed by some unknown existence. He was surprised to learn that Rina had the same experience before. What is Oishiro-sama's curse? Why did Rina and Satoshi-kun have a similar experience? I believe that means that somebody put them under surveillance. Somebody must be spying on the next victim of the curse. Since Rina and Satoshi-kun both blindly believed in Oishiro-sama's curse, they interpreted it as Oishiro-sama's presence. If paranoia kicked in, they'd feel as if they were experiencing paranormal phenomena. Judging from what Rina said, it seems that Satoshi-kun had been put on surveillance since long before Watanagashi. So, one question comes to mind. Why were they watching Rina? I'm assuming that the surveillance was placed on a victim to be of that year. Wait, what was that? I'm assuming that the surveillance was placed. Oh, okay. I'm assuming that the surveillance was placed on a victim to be of that year. So if so, I don't understand why Rina went through it. Why did they watch her even though she was living so far away? If she was considered somebody who abandoned the village, I could understand. But she didn't fall victim in the end. Maybe she was forgiven because she came back to Hinamizawa. Guess she still knows something I don't. Page 24. Satoshi-kun looked terrible. When he went home, he had to mediate a fight between Satoko and their aunt. He became mentally exhausted. He went to work every day. He became physically exhausted. He no longer communicated with his classmates. He's either slept on his desk, or was gone somewhere during lunch break. He used to be really gentle. It was painful to see him suffering like that. On top of all that, he was dealing with the curse of Oishiro-sama. He must have been completely, totally, and absolutely exhausted. That curse was a form of surveillance by those planning to victimize Satoshi-kun that year. That means that the other victim was in the same situation. Satoshi-kun's aunt had also been watched. Did she notice any presence? What about the others? Did the victims of the previous incidents also experience it? I need to investigate the facts in order to prove the curse on Satoshi-kun was actually just surveillance. Is it surveillance, paranoia, or really the curse? Good stuff, good stuff. Alright. So, we should be back with this Saturday night. We should have a normal Saturday night Higurashi stream. I should hopefully, in theory, maybe be back tomorrow stream. Not Higurashi, obviously. Obviously, it'd still be deciding between more Somnium Files or hitting back 1,000 times Resist. Although, potentially, I mean, seemingly like 1,000 times Resist just ends up becoming Friday night stuff. Even though I don't want it to, because I don't want it just to be Friday nights. It's tough. I'll have to decide. I'll decide over the next, like, 22 hours or so, probably. But yeah. More Higurashi back on Saturday night. We'll get to the bottom of this. Like I said, I think we're spiraling in a bad direction here with Shion. She's getting information and information that seems like it's going to be detrimental to the situation. And she is headstrong enough to want to act on her feelings, her emotions, and then this outside information she's getting from now somewhat Irie, but now being reinforced by Rina's weird trance-like rant. So, very interested to see where that goes. So until then, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. Until then, until later, until another stream, whatever.